with an internationally certified training certificate in Neuro-Semantics and NLP with the International Society of Neuro-Semantics.
So I very much want to make this an exploration today and a learning journey, not just for you but for myself as well. I very much position myself as I'm part of the learning. Now, session tonight about creating NLP magic, about, right up here, making the invisible visible, seeing the structure and enriching the map of how someone thinks. Also, what often gets lost is there's a human being behind it you're working with, a living organism. There's an energy running through people. There's people having thoughts in their head. There's people making pictures, sounds, and feelings in their head. That's translated into their core. Is a modelling model and communication tool. It's not about fixing people. It's about joining their model of the world, understanding their model of the world, and then replicating. And if you can replicate, it means you just identify what drives them, what their map is, their territory that runs them. That's really what it's about. It's not about judging people, it's not about fixing people. And again, if you come from technique, of what people, I'm just feeding back what I'm hearing, is I've got a technique, and now I'm going to have to find a problem in you where I can apply that technique. First establish what it is that's not happening, and then find an approach to come to an outcome. There's also a couple of core questions where NLP is coming from, because it's about modelling. It's about finding out how something works. Okay, so the question here is, how does something work? So when you look at a person, when you work, and who works with people, by the way, who's in a helping profession? So the question is, how does this person work? For a person to make an utterance, for a person to say words in a sentence, for a person to behave in a certain way, something has to be true for them on the inside that makes them do that.
When you came out with Fran, she was coming from an organisational perspective.
Yes.
So is there almost like a map behind the organisations, because she's in change management, so trying to understand how that works?
Yeah. Bit of a trick question, who runs organisations?
People.
At the base level, you have one person, and there's something happening from on the inside. But then when you bring a group of people together, they kind of take a behaviour and a thinking style on themselves. You know, organisations have form and shape. They think alike. They start to speak and do not learn in books. By all means, you can read about it. But you're going to start applying yourself. You have to feel it in your body. When you get there's something happening, first of all, you know, who has thoughts?
No, I've never seen that.
Who has beliefs? What's the difference between a thought and a belief?
Thoughts are things that have been, or beliefs that thoughts have been reinforced one way, so they become, very important to you in the essence of you.
When they become very important to you, that thought becomes a belief. And how do you know that something is a belief? Where do you know that? There's a few people here that are trained by me. In your body. The only way how you can tell what a belief is how you feel it in the body. It feels real in the body. We're expressing what's happening on the inside. We're expressing it through our body, through our language. Okay? It leaves traces. And if you know what to look for, if you know what to listen for, if you know what to listen to what's going on in the body. Have you ever heard people going, oh, I just feel this thingy with my stomach, it just pulls me down? Anyone heard people say that? They refer to body parts. See, that's if you listen for that. And just by watching Richard doing that, I was with a client and she felt she was held back. She couldn't. Her thing was, I can't teach something or learn something without fully understanding it. See, my friend was, I don't give a shit. I just learned it anyway. I don't have to know, pardon my French by the way, I don't have to know everything. I don't have to be right with everything. I can just play with it. But she said, I said, well, it's deep inside of me. She said, well, we need to take a knife and carve it out. She said, tell me, what is this thing? Where is it? She said, it's in my shoulder. I said, okay, and what's it look like? It's like a donut. All right, what colour has it got? It's white. She said, has it got a hole? She said, yes. Is it an asshole? So just humorize, bring humor to it, because it happens. Feelings settle themselves somewhere in the body. You not let it settle there, it habituates. You've got to bring movement to it. So I said to her, and how does it sit there? Does it hover? Or is it vertical? Horizontal? No. Horizontal? Vertical? She goes, horizontal. So what does it do? Does it hover? Yeah. Once you put it vertical and start swinging it like a pendulum, like this, in a mind, now I want you to spin it that way, that way. And as she was doing that, I go like, bang! I go, Aaron, you squashed it. What happened to the arsehole? It's gone. And it's literally I whacked it out of its orbit, and we got rid of it. And that's so things are showing up in the body, for example. If you look for that, we can work with a person at different places. The opposite is going into the abstract world. Or what we also call meta states. These are high-level frames that actually that drive our thinking. That's what we specifically teach in Neuro-Semantic or Neuro-Semantic NLP. So we go another level up where some of the others don't go. So early on I said, do you have thoughts about things? Now question, do the thoughts always serve you? No. Do you have the thoughts or do the thoughts have you? That's not a silly question to ask. Does the thought have me or do I have the thought? What's the difference?
You've got a choice then if you own it.
Yeah. If you own it, you drive it. Do you want the thought to drive you or do you want to drive the thought? Who does skiing? Is anyone snow skiing?
No, water skiing has been.
Everybody skiing. So who's done skiing? Okay, who does it well? Do you do it well, Nadine?
Not bad first, I haven't done it that often.
Cool. And what do you, in order to control the ski, what do you need to do? Anyone else? Who skis well? So what's the key skiing, controlling the ski? Like, does the ski control you or do you control the ski?
Most of the time I control the ski.
What happens when you're not controlling the ski? Where does the body go?
In the water.
No, I'm talking about snow skiing. We do snow skiing? Or, yeah, snow skiing.
Oh, right.
Water skiing is different apparently.
Yeah, the snow.
What happens when you on a ski and beginners, what happens? They're leaning backwards. Means the weights on the back of the ski and the front's up. Now you have no control. So the thing drives you and hopefully you don't end up in a tree. So really when I did beginners training, snow skiing, I'm not going to grade it.
The legs go out like that, you know.
Pretty dangerous too. But what they teach you to do is to put your knees forward, so your weight goes forward. They do fancy stuff like you're a little hill and then you can jump up. So you get that feel so you're getting that into your body, and then you keep the weight on the front because now you're controlling the skin. Okay. So we want to take control of the thought and then putting it into the body so that you can drive it. So what I generally do, if someone is stuck in a state, in a place, they want to change, for me, my thinking then is, okay, I need to get, something is embedded, embodied in them that needs to come out. So I often go either do something where that's just playing with the symbolism, the feeling where it's habituated itself in the body, or I start going up into the abstract world and find out the frames behind it that drive that. What I want you to do is help us be comfortable with that. I want you to go to the other person and stand as close. Are you okay with that? Go as close as you can, nose to nose if you can. Yeah, do that. And then I want you to look at the other person and tell me what shoes they're wearing and what colour pants or skirt or whatever that is. So go don't look, go very close to the person. As close as comfortable. What skirt are you wearing, Mike? Now, move away. Now move away from the person and be mindful of people around you far enough that you can see the hole there. Okay. Now look at what kind of shoes they're wearing and which one will help you to see, where was it easier when you stood nose to nose to see what colour shoes they were wearing and what pants or skirts? Or was it when you stood away from it. Okay? So that's, for me, it's when you, the technique, when you come from technique, it's like, what is the map of someone thinking? You really need to step away enough so you can see the whole map. So I'm drawing a big picture of this is a person, by the way. I used to look like that. Looks like Stu from Family Guy, I think. So there's a human being here. But so I want to see language is a description of what's happening on the inside, not the other way around. They're giving you information of the inner world, what's true for them. So when they say everyone says it can't be done, they're including everyone in their world, whatever they're seeing on the inside. And it's for the practitioners about how can I enrich their map? Because if classic is nobody listens to me. So you might say it to me, please, Michael.
Nobody listens to me.
So should I stop listening to you now?
Maybe. You made a mistake listening in the first place.
Miriam! But you get the point? But just what we do now, if the person goes, oh shit, yeah, actually someone's listening to me. I have just negated the fact that not everyone is not listening. There's someone listening who's just enriched their map. It's bringing something on their mental screen that gives them more distinction. It's about so it's enriching in movies. And why are there movies? Can you follow the storyline? It's a different question. Who watches politicians speak in Parliament? Who works in government? Nobody. But when you watch politicians, can you follow the story, what they're talking about? Why is that? Because they speak a digital language. They do not speak what we call sensory-specific language. VAK, visual, auditory, kinesthetic. Who listens to a storyteller? Do they capture your mind? Do they capture you and do they engage you? Why do they engage you?
Because they use VAK.
Exactly. They're putting it straight away into a form and shape that you can step into the movie. It's there. Tell stories. Involve people in the story. People are not broken. That's another place I'm coming from. People do not need fixing. There's nothing wrong with you. You're just playing out your model of the world and it shows up. You're acting it out. Whatever you do, you're acting out what's happening on the inside. There's nothing wrong with you. There might be frames that need fixing. We call them also. Just to be technical. And Noel's an expert on Sub-Modalities. He plays a lot with that. I don't necessarily play with them directly, but if you make a change up here, you cannot change the quality of your senses. You cannot make a change in the body somewhere. If you play with the senses, you might also end up affecting those frames that sit on top. So it's always a system. You go in at some place, it'll generally affect the whole system. So sometimes it doesn't matter where you do it, because they could do the same thing, just from a different direction.
I'm not a practitioner, but what do you mean by this last?
Sub-Modalities?
Yes.
Yeah. What do you really like? Is there something you really like? Do you have a hobby or something you really enjoy?
For me specifically.
Yeah, you specifically.
I love to read.
You love to read, okay. And you don't have to tell me anything, but just go there when you have favourite authors or novels or whatever it is.
At the moment, I've just read a book.
Read a book,
Really
okay.
like.
Okay. When you think of that book, you enjoy it?
Yes,
Yeah.
I enjoyed it.
And when you think of that book, what comes to mind? Something you see? Did you see that book in your mind?
Yes,
Yeah.
clearly.
Clearly, wow.
It was a book about art.
About art,
It's
okay.
quite
Wow,
a good
great.
review.
Yeah. And when you see that book in your head, in your mind,
Yes.
where's it in your mind? Is it how far away is it from you?
It was quite close.
Just there, yeah. It's quite close. The person actually, this is where again the clues. The person will tell you where it is. See, even if they say I don't know where it is, it's close. It's here. So, and how big is it? You just can describe it if you like with your hands. That'd be great. Okay. And it's a good colour.
Yes.
Yeah, great, fantastic. Is it bright colour? Is it normal colour? Is it?
It's green.
It's green. Great, fantastic. You like green?
Yes.
Yeah, great, fantastic. What do you notice in your body right now when you talk about that green colour?
Relaxed.
Relax. Great, fantastic. Okay. And is it a still picture or is it?
It is a still picture.
It's a still picture. Great. Okay. What I'd like to do is just now take that picture and just. And can you see the letters on it? Can you read anything?
No, I haven't really thought. No.
You haven't, but it doesn't
Not
matter.
at this stage.
Cool.
No.
Okay. Just take that now and just imagine I'll just grab that book for you. Just go away and then make it smaller. And the colour fades out. Now green becomes something I don't know what. Smaller. What happens when you make it smaller?
It's not as powerful.
Not as powerful,
Not as
yeah.
interesting.
What do you notice in your body?
Yeah, no, I'm not as happy.
You're not as happy. Okay, I will just bring it back to you.
Thank you.
There you go. Okay, that's what we call about sub-modalities. You have, because you experience your world through your senses, but even the modalities, the different channels, they have qualities. So we just worked with the quality of your visuals. We changed the composition of it. So we made it smaller. Before it had a certain size, and that affected that, and the colour, and where it was, it affected your body. Now I played with it, I took it away, I made it smaller, so I changed the distance, and had an effect on your neurology, on your body. So that's what we, when you're in a certain state, something happens inside of you. So we could work at that level. We could bring, for example, we could take something that you might not feel comfortable about and bring those qualities to it, and then see what happens in your body.
She was feeling things and she was doing.
She was doing that?
Yes. No touching.
Right, well done. Well,
Sorry.
because we don't want to make assumptions. We want to, how do we know?
Yeah.
So what are the signs? But what do we see? Not what do we think we see, what it might mean. Like because this person says, it must mean they must be very depressed. No, it just means they're touching themselves when they do it. Nothing more. We don't put any our own crap on top of that, what we think it is. That's what they do. They're using a visual word, kinesthetic feeling word. That's all they do. Not what that might mean, or like your books, the green ones. Right there.
Yeah, the picture.
That's an anchor.
Exactly, yeah.
Remember what I did before? I did this, and then I went back. And what happened? Look at that.
It was a great book. I'm just saying, the book was called.
That's an anchor. That's a statement. I actually did that, not deliberately necessarily, just sort of noticed it now. Got to bring that up and just mark them back up. That state, I'm recording that state. I'm just using a hand. I'm talking about the book. Green colour. Okay, if you want to get someone in state, anchor them. You did something interesting when you did this. You could, as sort of Anita. If Anita does, did you do this?
I did that.
You did that. And if you do, if that's a good, does that give you a good feeling?
Yeah.
You do that. If you do that, it's saying, oh yeah, you must like that. I bet next time you come to Adelaide and Diane goes, hey, is it? Okay. So you haven't said anything. You're just using gestures, and you're using this. You're reflecting that back.
So that's an anchor then.
Anything can be an anchor
Yeah.
if it brings a state back. It doesn't have to be a knuckle.
Awesome.
Could be just a word. Just could be a word. And how you say that with a tone of voice.
Yeah.
But if that's but you can use it. So when you work with someone, you want to me it's always one of the operating principles in NLP is about enriching people, always bring choices to people, never take away. So I want to put you in a state where you can actually grow, where you can enrich your map so you can feel more, live a more fulfilling life or get your outcomes. So if I know that, just keep doing that. And if in a rapport, Anita probably doesn't pick up that you could think I'm mimicking, but she probably doesn't know that because it's just subconscious. Versus, when you talk about that book, because you just want to change the state and take it back into a good state. Because when you're in a good state, well, you probably more receptive to things. Just think of that. Thanks very much, guys, for giving me the
Everyone, please
opportunity.
thank much.